From trials to triumph, the Coscharis story. Fatherless at the age of 4, helped his mother to sell bean cake and tobacco. Shipped off to live with his grandparents when the mother couldn't cope. He came to Lagos as an apprentice trader. His zeal to know this God and love this God set him on that path that God had ordained for him. A tribute by his colleagues and business partners in this book describe him in glowing terms. Entrepreneur par excellence, a consummate entrepreneur and a business czar. From selling akara, doing all the things legitimate, and as a man of integrity, God has taken him from being an apprentice trader to being an international businessman who has built conglomerates based on his integrity. Don't go away. I'll see you after this time. I no longer dwell on the mistakes I've made, the failures, the controversies and accusations don't bother me. But the good, the bad, and the ugly have culminated in making me the woman I am today.
I was so poor, poor people used to call us poor.
Because of my level of financial status then, I will say, I had one shirt I was wearing every time. In the evening, I wash it.
Put it in front of the fan?
Yeah, put it in front. In the morning, I will use it again.
I started smoking marijuana with the Bible in Belgium in my hotel room.
What, you used to tear the Bible?
I tore it, I started smoking, and I started telling myself it tastes sweeter. And from then on, I started smoking the Bible.
She came to me and said, Richard has passed on. And I just took hold of my clothes as if to tear them off. At that point, I felt that God had answered my prayer. So I said, thank you, Jesus.
7 people.
Yeah, I lost
within
24 hours.
That was then. There's no product without a process. And you'll be, but God says you'll be in due season. We celebrate the story behind the glory, and that's to the glory of God. Mr. Cosmas, Maduka, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for finding time in your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
Okay. A friend of mine sent me this book, From Trials to Triumph, the Coscharis story. And I read it, and the person said to me, this is the kind of story you celebrate on your show, so you should read this book. And I read it from cover to cover. And I decided to harass Mr. Cosmas Maduka, and today he's here to tell his story. So today, you're a celebrated name in Nigeria and across the world to the glory of God. But things were not always like this.
Sure.
Tell us, how was it then?
Well, it's a long story that I do not know.
We have all the time.
We have all the time
Yes,
to
sir.
be able to tell.
We have it.
Life is a question of what you make out of it, not just the difficulties you encounter.
Yes.
Difficulties is part of life.
Yes.
My father died when I was 4.
Yes.
My mother became a single parent when I was 4. And it's like they knew something was going to happen. They had 4 of us in quick succession. And it was really tough and hard for my mother. But my mother was a devoted Catholic lady. Again, it's important that I said that the scripture said, bring up a child the way he should grow, and when he grew, he's not going to part from that way. My mother was my mentor. She laid the foundation in me, wake us up by 5 o'clock, get us to say the Catholic rosary 2 times. Of course, when I get matured, I got to know more about the scripture. At the age of 14, I became a Christian. I made a commitment and gave my life to Christ. And but she sowed the seed. She encouraged me. She told me that I could go places, to believe in myself as I believe in God, and I should not allow the death of my father to deter me and all of those things. So I get a little bit determined from those encouraging words. She discovered my entrepreneurial capability because at the age of 6, she will fly Akala. I will go out to sell, come back before going to school, and she noticed that, people like to deal with me. People, patronize me. I used to be like, she'd do it for myself and my senior brother. I would sell the first shrimp pan, come back, collect the second one, and go and sell. So when it became really tough, he sent me to his parents, so my grandparents, and I lived with them. And they couldn't afford my school fees. The best I could do with school is I dropped out at elementary 3, not because I am not intelligent, because the worst position I got while I was in school was third position, but because there was nobody to pay my school fees. So I joined my uncle, came down to Lagos here to do apprenticeship. I worked for him for 6 years.
What were you doing?
We are selling an automotive component. That's a motorcycle spare parts at 88 Griffith Street, Ebute Metta, Lagos. No contract. This is the best university anybody can go, because within these 6 years, you just got to be at your best behavior. If you mess up, you go, because there was nothing I grade. The man clothed me and fed me, and I should just be at my best behavior. In the process of that apprenticeship with him, I came in contact with a guy called Olu, who used to go to Redeem Church when at Ebute Metta. Then the Redeem, has not expanded
like
the way
this,
it is expanded then. He took me to church and he came to buy something, and I wanted to inflate invoice. So he told me that it was wrong to do things like that, because of course mechanics come and buy things and said, increase the price. So we just give them invoice for any amount they want. Sometimes they dash us some money. So when he purchased something, I asked him, how much will I write it? He said, but you're not supposed to do this. This is wrong. I said, why? That was how he introduced Christ to me. And I became a Christian. Just the devil fought me. My uncle moved me down to different places, and then once I getting close to Christ, he moved me eventually back to Nnewi. It was at our hometown, Nnewi, where I'm also working for him, that I really made a commitment to Christ. But it wasn't well received by my parents, my mother, my uncle, because they are staunch Catholic, and they couldn't believe that I'm introducing a new religion in the family that they are not very familiar with. And out of anger or to punish me for, my new fine faith, my uncle asked me to come in the evening. I went with my senior brother, and they counted 200 naira and gave me. That was in 1977. And I asked him, what will I do with this money? He said, well, that's my starting up capital. I said, I served you for 6 years, almost 7 years. Would this, what does this mean? I can't understand, because I can't pay for a store with this. I can't buy even 1 carton of plug. He said, well, whatever I want to do with it, I should do. Few things I've learned from God's word gave me courage. I looked my uncle straight to his eyes. I said, look, if God give us 5 years, you will be amazed what God is going to do out of this 500 naira.
Yes, it's in your book.
And that God hardened the heart of Pharaoh to show his might and the land of Egypt. My senior brother said I should leave the money, let us go home. I asked him, did he have any to give me? He says no. I said, I better hold this. So I took it and teamed up with him. We formed a company called Maduka Brothers. Worked together at a certain time. We started differing in ideology. The same thing, my brother will go to church and he quarrels me, why should I take 1 naira for offering? That is too much. That in Catholic church they paid 10 kobo. I said, but
hold your thoughts,
yeah,
hold your thoughts,
thank
sir. Don't go away. We'll be right back with this amazing story. It might look funny, sound funny today, but I'm sure in those days it wasn't funny at all to Mr. Maduka. See you after this time out. How do you start business with 200 naira? Mr. Cosmas Maduka will tell us. You're welcome back.
So, my senior brother asked me, I said, look, you drink beer. I don't drink beer. So why would you quarrel by this? Small thing, nothing major. We parted well. And when we parted well, we've made some money, about 317 naira. We divided it. with my capital. My total capital was less than 400 naira.
400 naira.
Yeah, when I parted way with my senior brother. A friend of mine, you know, gave me a 1/4 of his store, and I started putting my things there to resell. I come to take a night bus from the east, rush back to Lagos here, buy merchandise, go back to sell. I used to go to Leventis Moto to buy things to sell. During this period, one time I came to Lagos, I came to Ikeja here at Olego, Bulos Enterprises, you know, they had a motorcycle crash bar. And many of the people in the eastern part did not know that. So I bought a crash bar from Leventis, from Bulos, rushed back to Nnewi that day, sold the crash bar, made almost 100% of the money, joined the night bus, come back again the following day. I did that 4 times within that week. And my capital became about 3,000 naira, and I decided to compensate myself and went to buy a motorcycle, CD 175.
Okay, yes, in this book, they said you used to be a daredevil rider.
That's right. So,
okay.
And that was like a 7 Series BMW by then. And people wondered, wow, 175. Before then, my senior brother had bought a motorcycle called Benry. You know, he used to bluff with it, but I now stay a little bullet in top. Well, things goes on. Because I was a young man, it wasn't too clear to me what to do, youthful exuberance.
Yes.
I started spending money, at least as I was making money, had my difficulties, but it was clear in my mind that I cannot fool around like other boys. So I have a clear goal. The death of my father brought a lot of discipline in my life. So I had so much ambition as a young man. One of my ambitions was to get married before 20. And I married when I was 19.
Please tell us the story about your marrying because they said your wife's uncle brought a gun and shot at you.
That was correct. You know, I lived above my age in everything I do, okay? My wife, compared to me, the time I got married to her, I was completely out of the league, you know? She came from the Ikedife family. This is like the elite society in our village. His uncle was a doctor. His senior brother was a doctor. His father worked in UAC. They are posh people, you know, have the best hospital in our town. And look at me, a boy that lost his father at the age of 4, nobody, nothing to reckon with, trying to take a wife from this place.
Yes.
I met my wife at church. She became a Christian. His parents do not also agree with it. And she saw in me something that she believed will make a good husband for her. And, you know, we talked and agreed that we're going to, you know, share our life together. And then I had to meet his parents. Part of the things I believe is that I don't drink alcohol. I don't give anybody alcohol. And then it become a condition that I'm not going to take alcohol for my marriage. And it was difficult for my father-in-law to understand this. But he's a free thinker. He never want to stand in anybody's way. But his junior brother, Dr. Ikedife, precisely, you know, couldn't take this. It was too much for him. So, and one is that I am nobody. Second is that I'm coming to their family. He felt that I seduced their daughter to listen to me. They have plans for her to go to America, US, to, you know, marry some people important. What is the desperation about this boy that drive motorbike that
has nothing,
you know, cannot even, doesn't put his tenses well, because I stopped in elementary 3, so my east doesn't match my walls. Neither did my coat match my trousers. So, and I'm looking for a girl of sort. So, it wasn't funny for him. But he told his uncle that this matter is very serious. I don't know why you think this guy is the right guy for your daughter. But if you made up your mind, he's not going to come here to dictate for us. So the man said that I'll use my head to carry palm wine and ungwo and bring to them. My father-in-law eventually accepted my proposal and was willing to take the dowry without alcohol. Then at the time of our wedding was coming, and I then dared to his uncle my wedding invitation. So, and I opened the door. He said, "Who is that?" I said, "Cosmas." I said, "Cosmas who?" I said, "Maduka." He said, if I enter my house and come back, I want you to disappear here. I said, no, uncle, you know, it's going to be very important that you grace this occasion, you know. This is one time life event, and I will feel very honored. The man went and got a pistol.
Yes.
And shot, you know, shoot.
Yes.
I ran. He shot again. I was somersaulting. I borrowed a friend of mine pickup to go for the whole thing. I left the pickup and ran and ended the race in my father-in-law's house. He created a big scene in the village.
Yes.
But if I have ever been proud of my wife, that was the day I was really proud of Charity. Charity stood up to his uncle and said, look, uncle, I'm up to the age. I can make a decision for myself.
Yes.
Nobody dictated to you who you marry. You felt I made the wrong choice. Let me live with my consequences. This is the man I'm going to marry. I'm not going to be subjected to anybody forcing me to share my life with anybody I do not want. I take exception to the way you treat this guy. You know, she spoke. I was proud of her. And, you know, it was a big thing. The good thing is that my father-in-law, he gave already about 20 of them to marriage. He never been to their wedding. But on the day of my wedding, he came.
He says so in this book.
He said he wanted to be there to let people know that I did not steal her daughter.
His daughter.
That what he wanted to do is to honor me with his presence, and that's why he was there to give the lady to me. And he's my best friend. It was the best thing he can ever do to me. And that was one of the greatest honor I had in my life. So it's been a life that is full of challenge. I've lived with my wife now. This is our 31st, September 23rd. This year we'll make our 31st marriage anniversary.
That's your wife's uncle?
Yep.
When he sees you today?
It's alive today. It's my friend. I'm the best-in-law of the family, of course. You can imagine. I'm the best-in-law of the family, you know, because over a period of time, they proved us and know we are real and we are sincere, and they see results from what we believe, and everybody accepted us. The word Coscharis.
Hold the thought, sir.
Sure.
You know what? It's an amazing story. And Coscharis is actually a coinage of his wife Charity and Cosmas.
Right.
Amazing. So I say to women out there, don't look at today, look at tomorrow. And marry only who God says you should marry. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Since you didn't have money and you were just starting, even though you had made a little bit of money selling all these spare parts, how did life progress from then on?
Life has been very challenging, you know. When we tell these stories, we tell just the good part of life, but I can assure you that we went through trials. Yes. You know, that's why the book we are reading said the trials and triumph of Dr. Cosmas and Maduka and Charity, the Coscharis story.
Yes.
Soon after I got married, you know, I have my ambition. As a young man, I've set goals for myself. One thing about life is really to believe in yourself and look at future with bright optimism. While I was doing an apprenticeship for my uncle, at the age of 8, I was going to Nnewi one day. I was passing a Motor Parks. I passed age 11s, and I turned to a friend with me. I said, one day I'm going to build a house like this. The man cocked my head. It was feel like, where do I say some of these things I'm saying? But it's my conviction, it's my belief about who I'm going to be. It's important that people dream big in life and hold their vision. It mustn't come that day. Because soon after I got married at the age of 21, I had a Passat car, a second-handed Passat car bought by then. And my wife was in the front of the car, my mother was at the back. And I told my mother, I said, by the time I'm 25, I'm going to buy a Mercedes. I'm going to do. My mother said, you know, you boast too much. This is one problem I have with you. I said, Mom, I'm not boasting. I'm telling you exactly what I'm going to do. He said, if you say that again, I'll get out of the car. I match brake. I said, by the time I'm 25, I'm going to do this.
You repeated it again?
Yes, I repeated it. If you want to get that, she said, I opened the door for her. She get down and I drove away. It's my faith. It's not her faith.
What do you say your confidence?
My confidence is because I'm a Christian. One is that I believe that God will take care of me. I've seen God's hand in my life in various ways. The person talking to you as I'm still speaking today, I didn't go past elementary 3. The first book I learned to read was Bible.
Yes.
The first book I read to read is the Bible. And you see, people dwell in what they do not have, what is not going well for them. They don't see what goes well from them. If you are blind, your senses of smell and hearing sharpen. Because I could not read and write by this time, my retentive memory increases. When you are making note, I'm recording those things in my mind because I can't refer to my note. Anytime we are talking, I speak, people think I'm a genius. I'm not a genius. Just because of what I do not have, what I don't have, compensated for it. I can take a Bible now, recite it, read a passage of the Bible. The following day, I can stand up and read it for you. People say I have electric brain. There's nothing like electric brain. But I can't make notes. So my memory have to increase. So those things. So I begin to learn that life is not really about what you do not have, but is making use of what you have, being grateful to God about what He has given to you. I went through difficulties in life. I have plans, I have ambitions. All of them never worked one day. By December 24, I will be 51 years. I started thinking and deciding for myself from the age of almost 5. I've thought about myself. By 15, I made a decision. So the things you exercise yourself on, you develop from it. You know, okay? So I went through difficulties. After my marriage, my business crumbled. I made some wrong decisions that affected my business, and things crumbled. I've already got married. And in a way, because of my Christian belief, they didn't give me any house in the family. I was living like a tenant. So I rented an apartment, 3 bedrooms and flat where I'm living. I had a store. I was indebted to my landlord in the store, Justice Ubezone. I couldn't pay my house rent in the house. I couldn't pay for the store. As a matter of fact, one time the man came. I hid myself under the counter in the store. Yeah. My boy told him I was not there. The man said, okay, come out. Let me lock up the store. When the man was to lock up, I had to get up because I didn't want him to lock me into the store. Okay? The landlord was chasing me at the house. But I am a determined person who believes there's dignity in labor. Yes. Anything I do that is not wrong to make money, I'm ready to do it. Somebody came for our wedding during the wedding and gave me a scale. I picked up the scale. Yes. I went to the market. If people climbed on top of the scale, I correct 10 cover. Some people were laughing at me because it was a demeaning job and things. As a matter of fact, when I came home, my wife cried like a little baby. She felt so humiliated that did I do this? I said, how come on, honey? What's the big deal about this? I wasn't stealing. I'm not doing anything wrong. I made some amount of money. So she picked a job in a company called Amaline, and they were paying her 85 naira. You see, when you have a wife, God's given wife, you can really depend on her. Yes. Because at the time, my wife was like a breadwinner because this was like an agony period for me. She would bring that 85 naira at the end of the month and we decide what to do with it. In this process, we went to a church one day, one evening, myself and my wife. This was at a very critical stage of our life, everything gone. And there was some missionary stuff. You know, in Pentecost, when they decide to preach about giving, they can squash it in. Yes. Ruiz Mora came to minister that day and said that everybody have to give everything he has in his pocket. This was after I have carried scale and I've gotten some few amount of money. So I had a mind battle. Where did they read this from the scripture? He said, everything you have in the pocket, you must give it here. That the Lord said this and said that and said that. I was battering within my mind. What is it going to happen? But you know, it's good to obey God. Yes. This is true. When the thing gets so hot, I took everything I have. I went to that offering box and dropped it. They counted the money and say it's still not enough, that they are trying to buy a land for the church building, that we're going to do the second trial. Of course, he that is on the ground fears no fall, because there was nothing more in my pocket. So when the second preaching was hot, I was at peace with myself. But when they finished, I decided, what do I do? Then somebody had given me a gift of an electronics watch. I just opened the watch and went to the altar box and dropped the watch. I have no scripture for it, but I was inspired to do that. Yes. When we left that place and we went home, I told my wife, I said, you know, we got to do something to bring God on the scene. A friend of ours had dropped a bag of rice in our house. We picked it and sent it to the pastor's house and said, well, David said, I am young, now I am old. I've never seen any man that served the Lord that begs bread. Let's see what God is going to do. It was, that day we didn't have anything to eat, so to say, but we, faith is violent. You can't have faith and don't put it into action. People say they have faith and they sit down one place. And that, the faith, the man said, what did it profit us if we stay here, we die? If we go to the enemy's camp, we also die. Let's go there. If we die, we die. The minister in the pulpit is a gift of God, but it is the people that operate the gift. That man that came to minister that day in a church, say what God tell him to do. But it is me who is sitting down that operated the gift of bringing God on the scene. The following day, I was going to Onitsha, driving a friend of mine, and the man said, if I can find somebody. The man said, come to see me in the evening.
All the thoughts. Mr. Maduka, we cannot take all this in one episode. We have to continue the story. Viewers, it's an amazing story. Let's see, with Mr. Maduka's faith of putting his wristwatch and giving everything that he had. Let's see how God came on the scene. Make sure you join us next week for the concluding part of the Coscharis story.
Like me, nobody can hate me, I'm blessed.